Okay, we're back. We're live. Welcome to Think Tech Talks. I'm Jay Fidell here on a given Tuesday in the 3 to 4 o'clock. And today we're doing community matters. Why? It's because community does matter. We call it, it's a double entendre. Yeah. Okay, and we're talking about AIM High Hawaii. And AIM is an acronym we're going to learn about in a couple of minutes here.
That's right.
Okay, and our special guests are Karen Awana, representative in the State House of Representatives. Say hi, Karen.
Hi, Karen.
Nicely done.
Hi, Jay. Thank you for having me here.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate
Nice
it.
to have you here. And Helen Tupa'i. I get that right?
Yes, you did.
From AIM Hawaii. Okay, what does AIM Hawaii stand for?
Advocate, mobilize, and impact. So advocate, impact, mobilize.
Okay, we're going to learn more about that. And we may have another guest in the form of Soulee Stroud, who is at the legislature at a hearing of some kind.
Yes.
Right.
And Soulee is with the Association of Hawaiian Civic Clubs. Okay, so we'll see. Maybe at one of the breaks, Soulee will come down for us. So I guess the first thing is to sort of get a shape on this. What is, well, you said what the acronym was, but what does AIM Hawaii do?
AIM focuses on youth ages 16 to 25 to empower them. These are emerging youth leaders in the state of Hawaii on all the Hawaiian Islands, and they're learning civic youth engagement, and they're given the tools, and then they can engage in the legislative, hopefully engage in the legislative process.
Okay, do you mind if I ask a lot of questions?
Sure.
Okay, right, so, okay, why do we need AIM?
Well, the origination of AIM, actually it's part of a larger picture. So back in around before the 1990s, there was research done on the need for youth civic engagement, specifically at the National Conference of Legislatures.
This is a national movement. AIM is part of a national
That's right.
movement.
That's right.
But in Hawaii, why do we need AIM? I mean, is there some phenomenon, some process, some thing happening which makes it necessary or more necessary than before for us to have AIM?
It's part of a racial equity initiative. So Hawaii is the first to receive resources to address the issues of racial equality, the inequity of racial equality, and Hawaii is the first to receive those resources, and it's part of the Asian Pacific Islander Health Forum. So it's the first on a national scale, a national level.
Money from federal government?
From the Asian Pacific Islander Health Forum.
Which is?
And it's based in San Francisco.
San Francisco, which is a regional forum?
Yes.
Where does it get the money?
From Kellogg Foundation.
Kellogg, okay. Okay.
So this is a great opportunity for the youth, the emerging youth leaders, to learn about civic engagement, to address the structural barriers that exist. And why Hawaii? It's a perfect time. In around 2008, when President Barack Obama was elected, it was discovered that there was a low voter turnout, about 35%. So it's not just Hawaii, but it's nationwide that there's a low civic youth engagement. So there's a need for youth for us to engage the youth.
What does engagement mean exactly?
Okay, that's a great question, Jay. So to engage the youth, pretty much their experiences, every youth come with a different set of experiences from their life, from home, from school, and everyone can bring their civic experiences together, and to engage them means that you don't have to, it's not out of the ordinary, it's in your everyday life that you can be engaged civically. So in your community, in your school.
Example.
For example, sports, Rotary, neighborhood board, other things that, like in your church, whatever that you're involved in, that's how you can be engaged.
They always said, well, what has this got to do with technology? I mean, it's no longer the question, but in the old days, and I did my radio show, what has this got to do with technology? What you're talking about has a lot to do with technology. I'll tell you one thing, only one thing, is that technology has changed our style of life. It has isolated us. We sit alone in our rooms with the computer all day and all night at 3 o'clock in the morning. Whether it's games or actual work, doesn't matter, we're alone. We're not engaged, or we're engaged electronically without being engaged physically. So, I mean, we're missing that in our lives. And it sounds like we pay a price for missing that.
That's right.
And we have to come together in some kind of civic engagement, as you say. And people who don't have engagement, they don't do as well. I mean that's all walks of life. That's not necessarily an economic group. If you're isolated, it's not so good.
Right. So that's why it's important to be connected, and technology can be a tool for that.
Yes. Okay.
And I
All
think
right.
with the program also we have been able to embrace technology because of that new generation. Everything is, like you had said, Jay, their computer, their cell phone, their Android, or whatever it is. And because the program is located on different islands, we've been able to embrace that technology so that they can go ahead and communicate with each other using, those types of devices.
Representative Karen Awana, so nice to spend time with you.
Yes, and you too.
Thank you for coming down here. Obviously, you support AIM.
Definitely,
Okay.
definitely. I'm a very strong supporter of the
So tell me
initiative.
your analysis. Why? What does it mean for you to support AIM?
I think it's important because not only because of what Helen had mentioned about the last election, but there is a correlation about communities that do engage, and through research through the Health Forum, we found that in many cases it's our Pacific Islanders and Asian communities that have the lower of the voter turnout. Those coming from foreign countries or being a first generation to the islands. So
Even though they could vote, they don't.
they don't. And sometimes it may be a barrier in communication. Maybe their parents haven't voted. So
Culture point.
Culture point. So they don't see the value in it. Yeah. But what we do is we try and open the barriers and even get down to it as to who they are in their communities, who they are in their families, in their schools, in their state, and how they can go ahead and contribute in a positive way. And I think that's another factor that AIM, a facet that AIM provides to the program for the children or youth.
So I'm going to give you a
leaders.
theory that I'm integrating, which is only a theory, but I'd like to know whether you think I'm right, you guys, okay? So we become somewhat isolated, even in Hawaii, where everybody knows or should know everybody else, it's such a small town. And we don't engage, and as a result, you get a political separation, and then you get isolation, and you get polarized positions, and people don't talk to each other perhaps as much as they did after statehood. And so what we're doing here is we're seizing on this generation. Would you say 16 to 25?
Yes.
This is a generation, right? It's a special generation. Maybe the generation of the future, the one that's going to count.
Right.
We're going to be old by the time they get in control, but
They're
it's okay.
going to take care of us, right,
Thank
in the
you.
future.
Make a note on that. So we're rebuilding something here.
Yes.
It's not only your constituents; it's that whole generation.
That's right.
Okay, this is Kaka'ako generation. I mean, they need to build their own state, and you're helping. Am I right about this?
That's correct.
And so it's rebuilding something maybe we lost or that got soft along the way, and now we've become conscious of that. We know what we have to do, and by gum, we're doing it.
All is not lost. There's still hope for us in our future.
So what can you do in the legislature for this kind of organization, Karen?
Well, what we do with the other legislators as well is we provide shadowing to our youth so they can
They
understand.
can come into the legislature and see what's going on.
Yes.
Oh boy,
yes.
that'll get them
And
excited.
they can shadow and come to committee hearings with us, ask us questions, speak with the other staff members as to, why you have to go through this process. We also provide training with our public access room to engage them and let them know what their role is. So at the age of 16, they can, register to vote, engage yourself with a vote, which is something that may not seem like a big thing, but in the bigger role of life, in Hawaii and the way we participate, that would make a great difference. What else do we do? And we many times we recognize them on the House floor or the Senate floor, wherever they may be shadowing.
Oh, that's
at the
great.
time.
That's great.
So it gives them hands-on experience of actually being at the legislature and working as an intern for an 8-week program
8
Right.
weeks,
Yep. 8 weeks.
During the session.
Yes.
during the session.
Most exciting then.
Yeah.
We also connect them with the Keiki Caucus so they can listen in on the concerns that are expressed in the Keiki Caucus.
Keiki Caucus. What is the Keiki
Keiki
Caucus? I'm sorry.
It's an opportunity for the different groups, agencies to present research findings in the community to legislators, representatives, and senators that can help them in the creation of a formation of a legislative package. So the AIM High Hawaii, the Civic Youth Engagement, can tune in and also find out the community concerns and put a presentation together to present to Keiki Caucus, be a voice.
Who's in Keiki Caucus?
Legislators Suzanne, Senator Suzanne.
So you don't have to be a Keiki to be in the Keiki Caucus. I want to get that straight.
You have a lot of service providers, state agencies, groups, foster family groups, and so on and so forth, who come to the legislator
from a variety of agencies.
Throughout the year, but mainly they start formulating legislation when we're not in session. And I believe that Hawaii is the first state to start a Keiki Caucus or a Children's Caucus back in 1990. So there's groundbreaking news there.
Yeah.
So with that, at the end of right before session begins, we have a list of different measures that would positively impact children and parents who may take care of children, and they decide which ones they're going to move forward. And then our legislators introduce those measures, and people track them and provide testimony.
Example of a measure.
One of them was voter registration information to seniors. So that's
in high school.
In high school.
So wait a minute. They're not 25 years old. Okay.
So that's one of the.
I could be a senior.
That will be our Kapuna Caucus, which we also have.
Coming soon.
Yes.
One of the other measures was with the University of Hawaii system. So I think that dealt with tuition, and then another one was with youth or juveniles who have committed crimes and something dealing with parole.
So this is a social, I don't want to say engagement, but that's too easy. It's a social safety net. It's a social re-engagement, maybe a social
mentoring them for real life skills.
Connecting them up.
Collaboration.
Yeah. So I mean, one of the things they're talking about is voting, and I'm really interested in that because we absolutely. And if you hadn't noticed, not a lot of people vote in Hawaii. And first of all, let me ask you guys, since you think about it all day long, why is that? Alienation? What is it?
Maybe they might feel like it doesn't make a difference.
They just don't know.
Yeah.
Is that what it, they just don't know?
Yeah, I think
point?
when I'm speaking with constituents, a lot of times they are hesitant to vote because either they are afraid that their vote is being monitored, or they don't believe that their vote actually counts. If they support something and it doesn't go their way, then they're more disenfranchised. Oh, I don't want to participate in it. But not really realizing you need to keep trying and keep being active, provide testimony on what the issues are, stay connected to your legislative body, tell them how you feel on a particular issue. A lot of disenfranchisement, I think.
I don't know why, but this reminds me of a story in China. May I?
Sure.
So I was talking to a Chinese lawyer, a woman, years ago, and I said, do you vote? And I was really curious how the communist system works, She says, no. It's really, you're a lawyer. I mean, lawyers are supposed to, develop the rule of law and make the system work and all that, They're the glue that holds the pieces together, so why don't you vote? She says, because we vote for the bottom rung of officials, and they vote for the next rung, and they vote for the next rung, and all the way up to the Politburo. We don't vote for the Politburo. We have no direct voting, it's all indirect, so we all feel that our vote really doesn't mean anything. Doesn't matter, and if it doesn't matter, we don't care to do it. And that was too bad, really. One day that may get fixed, but that's something here too. If you don't feel your vote counts, you're not going to vote. But I think in the U.S. your vote does count for sure. So this leads me to the thought that in Hawaii and maybe the mainland too, people don't really understand the system. They don't understand that their vote counts, that they can do amazing things if they get together in a constituency and vote. I mean, you know,
Exactly.
you've been running for office, you know.
And you know what's interesting that my staff had just shared with me? We have an area within our district, and a lot of those individuals actually come from other places than Hawaii, and they have one of the higher voting turnouts. So maybe there's something in what you had said as well.
Yeah.
You know, they realize the importance of the vote and to be engaged.
Yeah.
Because when we send out surveys, 100% of those who vote provide the surveys back to us. Interesting.
Interesting. That's like voting, isn't it?
It is. Getting your voice heard and putting your say-so in there. Yes.
Make it, you know, coming to the conclusion that somebody cares what I think.
Right.
Yes.
It's a self-image thing, isn't it? You know? We're gonna take a short break, okay? But
Sure.
before we do, I have to ask you a question, Helen.
Sure.
Why are you in this?
I'm passionate about helping youth, young leaders to prepare and giving them the tools to how to make a difference, and not only just by themselves, but working together with others in the community.
Was there a moment in your life when you made the decision to do it, or did it evolve of its own?
It started a year after graduating from high school. I said, it's enough, don't be scared anymore, you know, you gotta make a difference, do something with your life, and that's the impetus or the motivation for me in working with youth, and that they already have it, the group that we work with right now.
I want to talk to you about that group. Talk to you about it, you know, how you bring them in, what kind of smiles light up their faces when they come to your office, Karen. I want to know. We'll be right back after this break. That's Karen Awana, representative in the State House of Representatives, and Helen Tupa'i of AIM Hawaii, and AIM stands for
Advocate, Impact, Mobilize.
strong stuff. Here we are on Think Tech Talks Community Matters. Why? Because it matters. And we're talking about AIM High Hawaii. We'll be right back after this break. Okay, we're back. We're not kidding. We're here at Think Tech Talks. Community matters because it does matter. We're talking about AIM High Hawaii with Karen Awana, representative, State House of Representatives, who's stealing away from her committee hearings right now today. Joining. Oops, sorry. And Helen Tupa'i, who runs AIM Hawaii, who a founder of it, is it?
No, I'm
you
just part of a
work
bigger
there.
group.
Okay.
Part of a bigger group with Council for Native Hawaiian Advancement and Association of Hawaiian Civic Clubs and Representative Karen Awana.
Okay. How big is it? How many kids are involved at any point in time?
We have 20 in our group.
Okay. How many staff involved at any point in time?
We have about 5.
That's a good ratio.
Yeah.
Okay. And before I forget, what committees are you on, Karen?
Ooh, I'm on education, higher education,
You don't have to name them all. The ones you like.
agriculture, international affairs, business, tourism, economic development.
Full workload. sounds
on and
like
on
to
and
me,
on.
and
Yes,
on and on.
yes.
You know, I went to Bob Toyofuku's office this morning. You know, and he follows bills.
Yes.
He's a lobbyist, right? You should see all the stuff that he follows. It must be the same in your
Yeah,
office. Huh?
you could probably make trees out of the stacks of papers he has that bills he needs to follow.
So those kids come to your office.
Yes, they do. We
What
intern.
exactly what happens? What's the process in the way you see them reacting to it?
Well, it's very positive. They
Right.
come into the office sometimes never having been at the state capitol. So the first thing from my point of view, I try and make them as comfortable as possible. And I have a staff that's extremely supportive. And we go ahead and we give them, the basics, the tour of the state capitol, and have them take a few classes with the public access room so they can get acquainted with the legislative process, have them visit with other legislators as well as visit committee hearings. So they have a feel for what everything is, from, stuffing envelopes to taking telephone calls, whatever it is, just trying to make them feel like they're part of the team.
They're part of the team.
Yes.
Belongs to them.
Yes, definitely. And they're contributing in a positive way.
Yeah. So when they come, what mindset, and when they leave, what mindset?
Well, this is our first year that we've been doing it. So I think that Cedric, who's our intern right now, he's very pleased and happy with his experience, always smiling in the office. So I think that's part of the types of leaders that, we bring into the program, people who are willing to, find out, gather information, to seek out what their area of interest is, and it just so happens that Cedric's passion is agriculture and food sustainability. So we have him monitor our agriculture hearings, and he's found that very interesting.
Roughly how old are we talking?
He's about 20.
Yeah, so
20 years old.
this is more than just being familiar with the issues in an agricultural committee hearing. This is directing his life interest to agriculture.
Yes.
And maybe he'll do something in agriculture, not necessarily, be an advocate on one side or an issue or another, but maybe make a farm, maybe benefit by the bills that you're considering. Wouldn't that be something?
Yes, I believe he held a fair.
Yes, in Makaha, it was a family community 2 weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yes, because his passion is about healthy eating, healthy food, and creating that environment for his community.
He started an organization called Active Hawaii, focusing on health.
This is
families.
also business then. I mean, we're not leaving business behind. Business is involved here.
Yes.
Right.
So you bring them into the community in general. And the legislature certainly is a big element in the community, but it's the community in general. It's the state of Hawaii, so they connect up.
Right.
And
So when they come in, the youth, they get a feel for what the project's like, and then it's really great to see them talking to one another, to see what the other is doing, what they're involved in, and then they can bounce ideas off of, and then what parts of the community they're involved in too, say from the Big Island and Oahu. So
give them
hear
a
that
community
interaction.
consciousness, and that's like a political consciousness. It's really the same thing. So, big question, okay? Ready for a big question?
Shoot.
I am a student of insular drift. Insular drift is a term I coined myself, okay? And it means that since statehood, the islands have actually gotten further apart. I told one person this concept, and she said, "What do you mean further apart? They haven't moved. The islands have not moved." I said, "No, they haven't moved, but conceptually, they're not as close." Why? Because at statehood, you wanted to take a plane to Maui, it cost you $20. Now it costs you $300 or whatever. And although you can make a call, that's virtual again, and it's you're not hands-on that way. And so people on different islands don't get to talk to people. I mean, really talk to to people on other islands. And so, if you want to build a real state, to deal with modern issues, we got to get people to go from island to island, and we got to bring the islands together. Kamehameha's work was not done. He didn't really get it unified. 1810. Okay, anyway, so what do you think about that? Do we have an issue about islands not talking to islands and not wanting to cooperate with the state government, for example, and just leave us alone, please, and we'll do it right here ourselves?
Well, you know what is interesting is that I just saw someone this morning, and he's from a neighbor island. And the closeness that we have, it's in the area of agriculture, it's still the same like we saw each other yesterday. So I guess if you make the effort to keep in contact with those from neighbor islands, I think you can just, leave one place, and then at the next day, say even 2-3 years later, it's almost as if it was yesterday that you were with them.
Yeah.
And I think that's how we felt. It's how you build those relationships with
Relationships.
people, which
Right.
is why AIM is so important.
Yes.
You're able to build those types of friendships and relationships, and I believe that the people that the youth leaders that we bring forward have that type of positive attitude
Right.
to help make the change instead of sitting and having the change be made for them.
Absolutely, got to be proactive about
Yes,
this.
definitely.
So what do you do to introduce people in AIM from one island to another? How do you get them together?
Sure. We have Google Hangouts on air, and we also
Okay.
have telephone conferences.
Okay, really?
And we
Okay.
also do individual telephone conferences too, just to check in to see how they're doing.
How
And
often?
YouTube.
Monthly.
Okay.
And we do YouTube.
Yes, we do
Oh,
YouTube.
YouTube, yeah.
Training sessions.
Don't forget Skype.
Yes.
Yeah.
We do a lot of Skype here, and we really love Skype because you can do it real time for free.
Yeah.
You know, when I served in the legal government for a little while, and what I found was strange is that all these commissions, everybody had to get on a plane and fly to the neighbor island or whatever it was, so we could have a meeting of the commission. And it cost a lot of money to do that. You know, all these people going from here to there, and why don't you have video conferencing? You know. And the answer is, well, the equipment didn't work, and we didn't have enough equipment, and the law had to be changed to, change the Sunshine Law in order to permit video conferencing as a legitimate meeting. You know, it wouldn't break the law. I don't think it's changed. I think it's still the same way today.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And that's something that we had explored early on, Jay. But as we had gone out to visit the neighbor islands, it's interesting how you had said that, we're so different on different islands. It's the truth in some ways that the neighbor islands, not all of them have a bus system where they can put some money in the bus and get from point A to B.
Big Island. Good
Yes,
example.
not especially on neighbor islands where there's a high unemployment. There's a challenge with funding. So not to think that everyone has the ability to travel here and there. It's not the case. So we also had to be mindful of that, because not everyone has computers, although they have a will and a drive to participate in the program. We had to be cognizant of those issues when we're on an island where we have everything, quote unquote everything. Some of the neighbor islands may not have those conveniences that Oahu has.
Well, I took a trip to one of the neighbor islands, a couple of them, a year ago. It was on a video we were making for Hawaii News Now. And people kept saying to me that you don't understand, Jay, but the neighbor islands, they don't have any money. A lot of people are below the poverty line, and they live in this kind of barter economy. It doesn't go well for them compared to what goes on in Oahu, where you can get a job and so forth. I mean, if you work at it. And I found, this is another part of insular drift, isn't it?
Yes,
Because
I
life,
agree.
as you say, is different on the neighbor islands as it is. So if you bring these kids together, they see the state as one. I think this is the mission of our generation, to make the state be one.
Yes. And have each other help each other instead of working against each other or realizing of the differences. Oh, too bad you don't have this, but let's see do you want those conveniences as well? We can help you, we can support you to get those things.
Yeah, so this generation that you're building is really important.
That's right.
So you talked about leaders that you use. Your staff of 5. Right?
Yeah.
How do you select them, and do you ever use gentlemen with gray hair?
We're using him right now. He's in this room as we speak.
We have all our collaborative partners with Pacific American Foundation and the Council for Native Hawaiians and the Association for Hawaiian Civic Clubs. So we all do different parts of the project, whether it's at the Capitol or putting out a press release or working with the Hawaiian Civic Clubs. It's so that we're all doing our part.
You're raising their awareness, their consciousness. They're going to run for office, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Watch out, Karen.
No, we want them. We want good, strong leaders. That's what we're trying to build as well.
Yeah. Well, how do you do
I
that?
can't be here all my life, right? We have to pass the baton.
You got to give her a few years more, okay? How do you do that? How do you take a kid who comes into your program and he doesn't read the paper, he doesn't vote, He doesn't think about voting. If you ask him about an issue that might be in front of the legislature, he doesn't know. How do you take that carte blanco, white paper person and make him into somebody who could actually run for office? How do you do that?
Wow. Well, each of them come from different backgrounds, different experiences. So we want to see where they're coming from and meet them where they're at. So we look at youth who are already involved in their community as leaders, whether they're involved in clubs, committees.
So you can identify them.
Yes. So they're being recognized in the news, in different agencies, and so we hear of them, and then that's how we ask them if we do an interview to see if they're interested, and then from there that's how we bring them along and have them fill out an application.
And see them flower.
Yes. So
See
it is
them.
process.
And you offer them the opportunity to be influential, really,
Yes.
among your group and maybe further than that, among the islands. I mean, your group as it exists all around.
Right. So this is this process, this community change process, where it starts with them first, and then from there, then they can work with others and work with the community. So it starts with us first.
Wow.
So we want to model that.
Okay, we're going to take one more break here, but I want to tip you off about what's coming next, okay? I'll tip you all off what's coming next. I'm going to ask you what we call the third quarter question, which is, so what are the problems? Okay, what are your challenges? What do you need to move forward? Okay, I'm Jay Fidell. This is Think Tech Talks. We're talking about community matters because it does. About AIM, AIM High, AIM High Hawaii with Karen Awana, representative of the State House, and Helen Tupa'i, who runs AIM Hawaii. We'll be right back after this short break, and we'll talk about the challenges.
I'm Hong Jiang, host for Asia in Review on Tuesdays.
And I'm David Day, host for Asian Review on Thursdays. Both of us broadcast our respective shows at 4 p.m.
And my topics tend to deal with questions related to environment, culture, history, and sometimes human rights.
And my shows tend to be on international business, foreign policy, geopolitics, and national security. And you can watch our shows live on the Think Tech website at thinktechhawaii.com.
And you can also watch us on YouTube or Olalo.
So come join us on Thursdays at 4 p.m. I'm David Day.
And on Tuesdays at 4 p.m., I'm Hong Jiang.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Okay, we're back. We're live. We're Think Tech Talks on community matters, talking about AIM High Hawaii. And we have Helen Tupa'i, who runs AIM High Hawaii, and Karen Awana, representative in the State House. And we're having a great discussion about AIM High Hawaii and what it does, and actually we're going to get to what it's going to do also. But for now, I want to ask you what the challenges are, because as we know, we're a nonprofit too, there are always issues. In fact, sometimes I think the issues for nonprofits are much more formidable than the issues for profits.
Definitely.
But what are the issues? What are you stumbling on? What are your challenges? What do you need to get past in order to do the work?
Sure. It's one of the challenges would be addressing the structural barriers that exist, and we have a great opportunity in the youth that we work with coming from different ethnicities. They are aware of the different concerns within each ethnicity. So in addressing those, and then they're the ear on the neighboring islands of what the concerns are in the communities. So being that voice, and so bringing their voice, the community voice and the youth voice, and then eventually funneling it to the Keiki Caucus or other legislative bodies so that they can hear the community concerns.
Community concerns is a buzzword, I mean, every time there's an EIS meeting, in fact, even when there isn't an EIS meeting, get community concerns. And community concerns can have a double-edged sword. I mean, community concerns can be a huge gripe session, result in those GMO bills that you've seen in 2 counties already. Maybe more than 2 counties already. And you have GMO bills pending at ledge right now.
Definitely.
Right now.
And then some, right?
So those start out as community concerns, and they turn into be polarizing experiences, and everybody's boo at everybody else. How do you avoid that? How do you deal with concerns without letting them get into that mode?
That's a great question.
We haven't really got to an area where there's a strong disagreement, a polarizing idea. I think these youth are in a position where they can understand and empathize with others, And it's just more about being constructive as to how we can get to that desired result, whatever the goal for the group is. So we had addressed a list of different priorities. I believe one was more funding for charter schools, transportation on the neighbor islands. So, those are the types of things that we're working with the youth to, help foster and provide them venues so that they can contact their elected officials, or they can gather a group of people to go forward to whatever agency, or even just work amongst each other to find a viable solution for whatever that issue
Gee,
is.
that's well put. I think, it reminds me of the dysfunctionality in Congress right now. A lot of people, they don't want to make a deal. They'll fight hard not to make a deal. But, excuse me, if these kids learn through your program or otherwise that government is there to make deals, government is there to, to make all kinds of agreements and arrangements and legislation, then they will enter into the, what do you want to call it, the civic workforce in a way that's positive, instead of getting a sort of Tea Party mentality.
And that's in their everyday life, right? When we have to resolve differences, right? It's in your home, it's in your community, when you go out into the workforce working with other people. How your perception and providing, allowing people to provide input, and at the same time creating this layer of respect so that you're able to say your piece and I'm able to say my piece, and just be very respectful on all counts.
Hey, Hanakako. Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah, we have a show by that name. Yeah. Kali'i Akina, do you know him?
No.
Wonderful, wonderful host. Anyway, in fact, yesterday, Kali'i was here and he interviewed two representatives from the Congress, former representatives. One was Barry Goldwater Jr.
I met him last night.
He's here in town making speeches. And a fellow named Jim Chapman, a Democrat out of Texas. And the two of them
They had
played different positions.
okay, that explains they're eating at separate ends of the table.
Anyway, the other thing I wanted to ask you about is money, because a lot of the programs that I can think of anyway, that you might be interested in, do require money. So where are you going to get that from? Is the legislature sympathetic to this? Is it writing checks for AIM Hawaii?
Actually, right now it's being funded mainly solely by the Kellogg Foundation.
It doesn't need government money then?
No.
Great, wonderful.
We're living
What
within
if
our
they came
means.
to you, but if you came, they came
I would
to you.
definitely support such an initiative.
I do that.
I'm on the program. I have full support.
Okay, what else? What other problems do you have? We have a couple of minutes more in this
Sure.
break.
Well, if you're asking about one of the issues that the youth we're hearing about on the Big Island is the issue with the Micronesian population in the Kona area, and just the need for to foster understanding of the Micronesian population in the education system.
Yeah, because they all came at the same time fairly recently as cultural integration issues. Yeah, nobody knows how to handle that. It happens at every level of government and society, I think. In a generation, it'd be okay. But
Yes,
for now,
I
it's
believe so.
problematic. Yeah.
So one of our goals in the project is to form partnerships with the universities and the colleges, and knowing the issues, knowing the problems and the research that's what they're saying about these problems that exist right now in our state. So that's one of the goals, is to address that issue and to bring on more representation within our group as well.
Do you help them get into schools?
No, but we can, because since they deal with they work on an internship, and this could be a possible career, then
The careers are even better.
And many of these students are attending colleges
right
here in Hawaii as well as in the mainland.
Oh, really?
Nevada,
Local kids?
Yes.
Labor Community, UH Hilo.
And
Nevada,
Oh,
Oregon.
great. So you continue to be in contact with them.
Yes.
You want to get them back here, don't
Right.
you? That's I'm sure the legislature thinks about this all the time. How do we get them back?
The brain drain, right?
Yeah.
We need to provide viable job opportunities,
Right.
so when they come back, we were briefly speaking about that. When they come back, there'll be a job for the area that they can share their talents with the rest of our state.
Well, that's probably the most interesting question of all. You know, we're talking about the generation 16 to 25, talking about the kaka'ako millennials.
Yes.
You know, and there's a millennial generation all around the islands, different styles in different places, but it's that generation that's going to rule the world. So, how can we make enough jobs for them, keep them here, and to keep them, may I use the word engaged? Yeah. How can we do that?
You know, I think that's part of, sorry to plug my legislation.
Please, I was offering you the opportunity, Karen.
There's a measure that I have to review our state plan that was last looked at in 1980. So I think when we take a closer look, the current plan says that pineapple and sugar is our two economic engines, and that's not the case anymore. So I think if we take a closer look at our state plan and have Deep Ed work with us to see what kind of jobs will be coming through our next generation, perhaps we can take a closer look at what areas we want to go ahead and focus in on so that we can go ahead and bring our next generation back home to the islands.
Yeah. Let me take one step further on that, especially because you're on the Agriculture Committee.
Okay.
What does agriculture offer, you know, for jobs, careers, businesses, for this generation we're talking about? I mean, there are some successful local agricultural operations in your district, actually. Right? Maho
Yes,
Farms is out
Maho
there.
Farms,
Yes.
and we have Kaala Farms, and
Yeah.
that's
So this is really promising for me, anyway. But you know what, I worry that a lot of people don't want to put their hands in the soil. They don't want to dirty their feet, and we have to make it attractive for them. We have to make sure they can earn a living wage and send their kids to school and buy a car and a house out of agriculture. If we can do that, we'll have a generation that'll do high-tech, modern,
Yes.
best practices agriculture. We got the climate, we got the soil, we got the rain and all that.
Yes, agriculture has taken on a whole new change. You know, you need to be in the STEM field. It's not only actually putting your hand into the soil, but there's so many different technologies. I know David Wong is working with natural farming out in the Waianae Coast. And then we have Wendy Lowe working on tower gardens, so there's no soil at all involved. And then you have people
Is that
working
the
on
same thing as a vertical farm?
Yeah, vertical farm, and you use 90% less water.
Yeah.
So farming has taken on a whole different, look, and as well as looking at the technical aspects of it, creating new technologies so you can have a higher yield, better nutrient content, and high nutrition value, and all of that. So, our great minds out there that are going to college, I'm sure when they come back, they'll be able to utilize those STEM fields to go ahead and perhaps even move our agriculture community and closer to the sustainable, the food security
It's all
issues
interrelated.
that we're all interested in, definitely.
Yeah.
And what your program promotes as well.
Speaking of programs, I'd like to do a program in agriculture. I hope you'll come back and join me
I will
on that.
definitely come back.
You too, Helen. Okay, we're going to take, I think we're past our last break, but let's take it anyway. We're going to take one more break, then we'll come back. And fair notice, I want to ask you what's going to happen in the future on this.
Okay.
Where is it going? Where is AIM Hawaii going? What are your dreams, your aspirations, and what's doable? Okay, we'll be right back. This is Community Matters here on Think Tech Talks. AIM High Hawaii with Karen Awana, representative, and Helen Tupa'i, AIM Hawaii. Be right back after this short break.
Aloha, I'm Nicole Horry for Think Tech. For nearly half a century, the Hawaii Foreign Trade Zone No. 9 has brought the benefits of the Foreign Trade Zone program to Hawaii businesses and entrepreneurs. DBET, the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism, operates Hawaii's Foreign Trade Zone program to encourage international business and economic development. The Foreign Trade Zone's mission is to increase the amount of international trading activity in Hawaii, thereby providing employment opportunities for the residents of our island state. For more information, see ftz9.org. I'm Nicole Horry. Mahalo.
Okay, we're back. We're live. We're Think Tech Talks. We're doing Community Matters about AIM High Hawaii with Karen Awana, representing the State House, and Helen Tupa'i, who runs AIM High Hawaii. Okay, and for our last segment, I'll ask you guys about the future. And it's not just I don't know what's going to happen in 5 years. It's how is the organization going to develop? What do you see happening? You must have a plan. It's not like the state plan.
No. It'll be faster than the 20 years.
There you go. But how is it going to develop into the community? How is it going to make the necessary permeation? Okay. What do you think, Helen?
Okay, so one of the goals is to use the curriculum that we've developed, and hopefully it could be replicated in other states. So we focus on civic identity, we focus on expression through the arts, we focus on critical thinking, also the importance of collaboration. We also focus on navigating between the Polynesian and the Western world. And with that could hopefully be replicated in the different states. Also, we want to build upon the infrastructure that has been created, and they can go with that. Also, it starts with the youth. So this project is to be youth-led, youth-driven. So when the project is done, we want the youth to take it a step further, and they run with it. They have the tools now, and we want them to go with what they have been given.
You're working yourself out of a job here?
No. We're also looking for more funding after the end.
To do more good programs.
Right. So with that, in the next 5 years, we also want to have a dual partnership with the Keiki Caucus. So have a close partnership with Keiki Caucus, continuing to provide that voice into Keiki Caucus of the concerns of the community. So
Let me seize on one thing you said. It was the arts. A great state needs great art.
Yes.
Right? All kinds of arts. Music,
right. Mural art,
fine arts,
comedy,
video, humor, whatever.
Exactly.
So how is that part doing, and how much stress? What do you think is going to happen with that part of your initiative?
So with that, the youth can take what they've learned and take ownership of what they learned and express it, a message using the arts, what they feel the importance of civic engagement, or whatever they feel is important that they need to get out to the community. So for example, this Saturday there's going to be a gathering of artists in Kaka'ako, I believe, from 6 to 8 on Saturday. We also are connecting with the Ahupua'a with sustainability efforts to connecting from the Mauka to the Mokai.
Million issues.
To the fish, for the fish pond.
Yeah.
So,
These are all important issues
Yes.
too. Don't forget Kumakahua right down the block here.
Yes. Yes.
That's the only theater which actually does Hawaiian culture, local culture, theater. And they have some wonderful plays that sort of teach you things you never really fully understood. And actually on Wednesday, is that tomorrow? Yeah, Wednesday, Donna Blanchard is the one who runs that. She's one of our hosts too. So she teaches us about what happens at Kumakahua.
Wow.
Awesome, thank you.
Don't forget.
All right.
Okay, your turn.
It's similar to what Helen had shared, world domination and aim,
World domination.
being able to go ahead and allow our next generation to problem solve in a positive way. And you were talking about creativity. You need to be very creative many times when you're solving your problems, how to give and take, and hopefully, both can go away with some and leave some back on the table. So it's the ability to foster and teach youth from throughout the states and maybe even other countries, because these youth are coming from different countries, and use this tool set so that they can go ahead and solve problems instead of fighting or whatever it is, or misunderstanding, having a closer bond to each other through communication and respect. Yes.
Empowerment. Empowerment is good because it makes you confident, and I think sometimes it's a crisis of confidence that you're dealing with.
That's right.
Can I really engage? Can I go out there and compete and build a business and make a lot of money and all that stuff?
And being responsible at the same time.
Yeah,
So you're
responsible.
helping, so you
Right.
in turn will perhaps even take it to the next generation and teach
Correct.
them what you've been taught as well.
It's like growing something really valuable,
Yes.
something that will actually save us going forward. That's what I think.
And perpetuate it.
Yeah. So this is actually a good time. Why? It's because we are aware of this. We may not have been so aware 10 years ago. Now we have become aware, and you're here,
We're here.
and you're here.
Here. Right now. We're here right now.
Okay, I wish you well, you guys.
Thank you,
This is
Jay.
a great thing, and I see it as critically important. And the Connect Up thing really touches me, and the statewide consolidation of it really touches me. So we'll all be better off. We wish you well. Any
Thank
final
you.
comments? Anything? You want to say goodbye to the crowd? Go.
Bye,
Representative
crowd.
Karen Awana.
Aloha.
If you'd like to get in contact with us, you could email us at aimforyouthhawaii@gmail.com.
Okay.
Is there a contact number? Just in case.
808-664-3027, extension 4.
One more time.
808-664-3027, extension 4.
And
Looking
you-
forward to hearing from you.
Yes.
When you said the numbers, they were the same both times.
Yes.
It's Helen Tupa'i, AIM Hawaii, and Karen Awana, representative of the State House. This is Think Tech Hawaii in Community Matters, talking about AIM High Hawaii. We hope we can visit with you guys again. This was great.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Jay.
Aloha.
Aloha.